I was about 14 years old. I was a freshman in high school. And it was September 11th, 2007, which is kind of a date that a lot of people remember. It's kind of easy to remember. But I was going to a football game that night. I was hanging out with some friends, and we were just, walking around the high school and having a good time. We decided to grab something to eat before the game started. So we leave the high school and start walking towards this Subway restaurant, and we get to this intersection, and we're in a place called Grantsville, Utah. And in this road, there's not a street light. There's just this huge road where you have 2 lanes going each way, and I think the speed limit was about 45 miles an hour, 50 or so. And so what you do if you want to cross the street, you have to just make sure they see you and just get across the street. And so me and my friends, we line up, and we're in the crosswalk, and we're looking, and one car stops for us. He signals for us to walk, and so we start walking, and we get about halfway there, and then I turn, and I see this car coming, and right before it hits me, I turn, and I didn't mean to, but I pulled a Heisman on the car. I don't know if I thought that could do something or anything, but it hit me on my right hand side. I spun to the left, ended up hitting my friend. I didn't mean to, but my hand hit him, and he shot back, and the car barely missed him. I hit the hood, flew back, my back hit the windshield, went about 10 feet up and 20 feet forward, did like a backflip and landed on the ground. And, it was, I don't know it's kind of hard to describe like the pain or like the feeling to someone that hasn't felt it before, but it's like the feeling of, well, kind of 2 feelings. When you're, on a roller coaster and you're doing like a loop-de-loop, like the force kind of like pulls you down a little bit, right? And then with that, the feeling of when you hit your head on like cement, when you're like a little kid and you fall and you hit it, it kind of like shakes you up a little bit. It was like that feeling, but it was my entire body. I went from like basically standing to like 50 miles an hour. And so I just felt this shock. And when I hit the ground, it was this like super, super soft feeling. And at first I didn't really realize how bad it was. The way I landed, I was facing where the car was. I could see the windshield and see my friends run across the street. And I tried to get up, and I looked to my left, and there's a police officer already there, and he's trying to get me to sit down. He was on the sidewalk. He was by the subway, and he saw me get hit and was running towards me even before it happened. And I remember trying to stand up and feeling this pain in my leg and being like, ooh, I think I'm going to sit back down. So it shattered my tibia and my fibia and just blew the bone apart. It just destroyed it. But luckily, I'm a pretty big guy. I was pretty big for my age, and so my weight, along with how tall I was the only thing that had happened to me was the broken leg. So I was life flight to Primary Children's. We had a couple of surgeries, including, putting metal into the leg, repairing the bone, and having a skin graft done. And a couple months after that, I was back in school. And just trying to get back to normal life. And it was pretty crazy how, I didn't really realize it in that moment, but like my entire life was going to be different, And I think a lot of people that have accidents like that, they don't really realize the ramifications. And as much as it was like a hard experience for me, it was definitely like made me who I was, Shortly after that, about 3 months later, I ended up getting a staph infection as well in my foot. So we went back into surgery, got that all cleaned out. I ended up having to wear an IV and a backpack with like a line going to my arm. And I carried that around for about a month. And it was just awful. Like, people complain about their freshman year of high school. I'm pretty sure I had like the worst freshman year of high school. But, I made it through that and ended up making it through high school, going off to college and preparing for a mission. And although I never really recovered from, the accident, like the surgery and stuff like that, I played tennis a little bit. I was able to walk around. And if you didn't know me well enough, if you didn't ask the question, you wouldn't think that, I was like, the pain was that bad. The bone and the muscles, the nerves were just like hyperactive. They always hurt, no matter what I was doing. If I was sitting, if I was running, just like this deep, deep throbbing pain. And I was worried about that going into the mission, especially after I got my call to Japan, wondering like, how in the world am I supposed to walk for like all day, like teaching people and riding bikes everywhere. And, like I was kind of nervous, but I had filled out my mission papers and I had outlined, that I had these things and I was still called to Japan. So I thought, all right, if an apostle thinks that like a kid in this situation could do it, like I should be able to do it. And honestly, I don't think I could have been the missionary that I was or have the experiences that I did if it wasn't for that surgery. Or not the surgery, the accident, I guess. But it's kind of interesting how even though you feel that pain, like when you're teaching someone, it always seems to go away. Like people always ask me, now that I've gotten home and I ended up having my leg amputated, people always ask me, like, was it hard? Like, was the pain kind of hard as, you're walking around all day? And it, as much as it was, when you're teaching in that moment, like, and like most of the people that will watch this, they'll feel it someday too, when they're actually teaching in that moment, like everything else goes out the window, Even though like it hurt every day to walk around, the pain that I felt, it was totally worth feeling that pain if I was able to help someone that day. And so I think that as hard as an accident as it was, and as it still is hard as I'm recovering from amputation, like it made me appreciate my mission more, knowing that like I could sacrifice just a little bit, just like a little bit of pain to, change someone's life forever with the gospel. And it made it worth it.